What's going on, guys? Good morning. Welcome back to United View. Welcome back to another edition of the Morning View. Yes, indeed, we are back. It is 9:02 British summertime here, Tuesday, April 18th, here in the UK, in England. Let us know where you're watching from. As always, we've got a global community. I don't know if you know this, DJ. We've got a very global audience.
We do.
Oh, indeed. Indeed, we do. So I'm sure you'll let us know where you're watching from this morning. Plenty to get into. We're going to be talking a little bit about transfers, everyone's favorite topic, some midfield targets. We're getting to that stage whilst the season isn't over just yet. Eyes are starting to turn to where we might be going in the future in terms of transfer targets. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're talking about injuries, because obviously injuries at Manchester United are like that at the moment. So we're going to be talking about possibly a return from injury in Alejandro Garnacho. We're going to be talking about Lisandro Martinez undergoing surgery. We're also going to be talking about Ahmad, possible Ahmad plans for next season, DJ. That's going to be quite an interesting one. But how are you doing, DJ, on this fine Tuesday morning? Up very early, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed.
I feel very good, man, especially after the result, midweek and stuff. So I'm good. I am good, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, DJ was just confessing to me. He goes, I don't know how you do these early mornings, Owen. And I said, do you know what the crazy thing is? We say this. We go, I don't know how we do these early mornings. For like normal, like working people, like, it's not even early.
Yeah, it's not even early.
You know what I mean? Early. Exactly. Those people, I remember I used to work with a guy. I was working in London at the time, and he came from Wales every single day to the office in London. He drove from Wales every day to the office. And I was like, what time do you get up? And he was like, about 4 o'clock every day.
Yeah, I knew a guy that drove from, I think it was like Peterborough all the way to Southeast London. And sometimes he would leave work late, like really late, like after hours, 6, 7. I'm like, so what time you get home for? He's like 1 a.m. And I'm like, yeah. What time do you got to get up? About 3, 4. I'm like, what? It's crazy. Yeah. Big up to
work
them,
ethic. You can't fault it. And this guy that I'm talking about was like a director. And I was like, mate, you've earned it, mate. You've properly earned it. Well done, you. See where some of the people are watching from this morning. We've got Singapore. We've got South Africa. Nice. Got a lot of South Africa in here. Some people, this is what always baffles me, the time zones. 2 o'clock in the morning. Where Shane is. So let us know where you're watching from, Shane. Got Sweden as well. Utah in the United States of America too. So be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Let's get into transfers, some midfield transfer targets. Now, we kind of spoke the other week about Alexis McAllister, a bit more information on that, plus another potential target. Fabrizio Romano has tweeted that he understands that Alexis, well, first of all, he probably said, hello, guys. He said, I understand Alexis McAllister and his camp consider a summer move as 100% guaranteed. Big words. The expectation is for an early transfer, which, to be honest, if that's the case for United, it probably rules out. Yeah. But Alexis will give his best for Brighton until June. Liverpool and Manchester United will discuss with the player side soon. In addition to that, it has also been reported by Santi Awuna that Manchester United, Liverpool and Arsenal will meet with Ryan Gravenberch's entourage. Erik ten Hag is a fan of the player, of course, his former manager, Ajax. Gravenberch and his entourage will be making a decision on their future soon. He wants to play more, whether it's at Bayern or elsewhere. Of course, he moved to Bayern Munich, last season? But he's barely featured in the German side at the moment. Let's start off with Alexis McAllister, DJ. What are your thoughts on him? Would he be a good fit at Manchester United? Is that a kind of target we should be looking at for the summer?
I think he's a good player. I think, he covers a lot of ground. He does have that creative element, and he's also quite a very good dribbler across the ground. He's quite, he ticks a lot of boxes in a lot of areas. I wouldn't say he's a specialist in anything, but he's got high quality in most of the areas. I think he is a way better upgrade than Scott McTominay. I think he can do, as I said, everything. And I think coming into this midfield that we have now, which seems to be, obviously I know it's a bit sad, the injury, but with Eriksen, Casemiro, Bruno, it seems to be a little bit more settled now. And it's the best our midfield's looked in a very long time. So, adding, someone like McAllister coming in, I think it'd be good. My only thing is that if Liverpool are trying to get the player as well, his price is going to keep going up. And can we afford right now to even be in any sort of like transfer war? Obviously, look, the ownership, we need to get that sorted out before we even spend any money, really. So that's a big thing. I think one thing has to happen before the other thing can happen. But looking at the player just as a player, I think he's a good player. I think he can definitely add to what we have in the squad.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because you're right when it comes to the takeover stuff. Because whilst United say business as usual, United are going to carry on going. And even if this takeover thing does go into the summer, by all accounts, there is money. How much? But there is money there, i.e. Manchester United's operating revenue, even though it is down from what it was previously. But there had been those reports that there's an extra line of credit at the Bank of America that we can go into for players. So, possibly, and I'm sure that, Ten Hag and the recruitment people have all been told, just carry on focusing on your targets and have the conversations. We can figure it all out. But that is absolutely something that needs to be addressed. And honestly, even when you get into negotiations, of course, I'm sure Alexis McAllister's representatives or Ryan Gravenberch's representatives would say, so what's going on with the takeover stuff? Who's your owner going to be? How much money? Because from their point of view, from a negotiating point of view, if they're negotiating, say, with a club that's owned by Sheikh Jassim, they'll probably be thinking, we can get a bit more out of them. If not, it might be a little bit different. So that's absolutely going to be a part of it. As far as Alexis McAllister goes, Brighton's an interesting one because negotiating with Brighton, DJ, they get their money and then some. Okay. Yeah. And every single person pretty much they've sold, they get a lot of money for. And afterwards you go, they probably overpaid for them. Cucurella. I mean, the Basuma one at the time, we thought it was a steal. I can't believe it. Last year of his contract, he's gone to Spurs, done nothing. I mean, Arsenal United fans last summer, cast your mind back to last summer if you can, DJ. Yeah. I remember a lot of people, why are we not going for Basuma? What's going on there? Spurs didn't really do anything, Trossard, I think he's done quite well when it comes to him at Arsenal so far. But again, that was a bit of a different one because he fell out with the coach. So Brighton, they get their money's worth. And again, United aren't very good at negotiating. And if Brighton are good, then we might end up overpaying for McAllister. When it comes to the player, though, I really like the player. I've been saying this recently that my feeling is that you look at someone like Eriksen and how much we've missed someone like Christian Eriksen. And I'm not saying that McAllister is exactly the same, but I think that when we're looking for players in the midfield now, we need to be looking for a player that fits a certain or hits a certain technical level. Yeah. Because when people like Eriksen haven't been available, or even Casemiro, but whoever, if they haven't been available, the drop-off is so big.
It's big.
We're talking about, mate, they can't even pass the ball. That should be the prerequisite, because the prerequisite at the moment is, they work hard. McTominay, he works hard. Fred, he works hard. He runs around. But when we're talking about technical ability, and I think my theory is for away games this season, the reason we've struggled in away games is because when the pressure's on, when the crowd are loud, and you go through those really intense moments, what can't we do? We can't keep the ball. We can't take the sting out of the game. We can't put our foot on the ball. We can't go, okay, look, they're just not going to get the ball for 5 minutes. Let's just settle down. We can't do that. I think to the Newcastle game away from home, every single time we got the ball, we just gave it away. It went into the midfield and we can pass it straight to their player or get dispossessed. We need those players like Eriksen, like McAllister, that are somewhat press resistant because they just can't get the ball off them. So I like Alexis McAllister. I think that would be a good one. But look, Liverpool are going to rival us for him because they've abandoned their pursuit of Jude Bellingham, which I find hilarious, because if you'd listened to them all season, DJ, it was already done. It was already done.
Owen, I've got friends from Liverpool, and it was only maybe 2 months ago, if that, they were like, trust me, mate, he's coming to Liverpool. I'm like, look, if you lot don't do anything this season, he's not going to go there, right? He's a footballer that's on the up. He needs to join the next best brand in football that's going to take him somewhere. It's Jude Bellingham, for G's sake. So, you know what? I kind of called it. A lot of them said I was lying. I was hating. I weren't hating. I just saw Liverpool for what they were. Pretenders. So, Jude Bellingham, I think that our name will definitely be thrown into the hat, whether we get him or not. That's that's a whole nother question. But I think, if Man United can get this ownership stuff out of the way, let's get the brand, let's get some Champions League football, maybe win a couple of cups. Still a lot to play for at this point. We become a very attractive proposition. And we haven't been that for a few years now. As we know, tickets and stuff were going up and stuff. So people are wanting to get bums in seats at Old Trafford. So we're slowly becoming that brand again, slowly, very slowly, incrementally. So I think, it's a better project than what it was before. Way better.
It's funny, isn't it, as well, how football can change? Because if this time last season, you're speaking to any football fan, not just Liverpool and Man United fans, you'd say, what's the more attractive proposition as a player to go to? You'd go, of course, go to Liverpool. They're competing for trophies, blah, blah, blah. 12 months later, what's the more attractive proposition? You go to United.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how one season can change things when it comes to that.
Yeah.
And to your point about the Bellingham thing, that's what those Liverpool fans didn't want to hear all season. People were saying to me, you don't understand, Owen. He was walking around with Trent at the World Cup. Yeah. They went Chris Brown together. First of all, I'd say Chris Brown. I don't know who that is, but I'd
no, you got to be joking, right?
I know who Chris Brown is.
Yeah, okay, cool.
I'm talking to a Liverpool fan, hypothetically here.
Yeah.
So I'm going, Chris Brown is. We're talking about football here. I don't know what we're talking about. But no, so they were going, oh yeah, he's a Steven Gerrard fan. Gerrard's his idol. And I go, so you're telling me
Gerrard try. I've even seen Gerrard try.
I saw that in the interview.
Yeah.
Oh, it's nice here, isn't it? It's nice here, isn't it?
It's cringy. So cringy.
So when they do all that kind of stuff, and you go, wait a minute, forget all that. Forget the walking around, forget the handshakes, forget the concerts. Where are they in the table? What are they doing right now? Yeah, that's the real question. Yeah. And reality is nothing. United this season looks like they're going to get top 4. We've already won a trophy. We're on the rise. So when it came to Bellingham, you never know. I think the thing that will hurt us will just be money. Considering the current circumstances, maybe we can't afford it. And whilst we're a more attractive proposition than Liverpool, we're still not the most attractive. And there are going to be plenty of other clubs that are really, really interested. We know Real Madrid will want him. We know City will want him. So that plays a part in it as well. So that's why an Alexis McAllister, you should go, okay, like Premier League, people hate it, but Premier League proven.
Yeah.
Won a World Cup, playing in the World Cup as well, and playing in a good team at the World Cup. He's done really well at Brighton this season. Brighton are a really good side, which I'm worried about coming up on Sunday. So I think McAllister would be a shrewd signing, but I've already, been told by these Liverpool fans in the same way that they'd already signed Jude Bellingham. What are you talking about? We are signing Alexis McAllister. It's done. It's done.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But just to finish off on McAllister, I just definitely think he's a really good player, and Brighton do have an eye for talent. Think of all the players now that have come from Brighton and gone on to do good things. They still have Casido there. So I think them knowing that a lot of their players are going to be moving on to the upper echelon teams of the league, they're going to slap, a bit of Brighton tax on there. Of course they are. Of course they are.
But this is what's crazy with Brighton though, is they'll maybe they sell McAllister in the summer, but they'll be fine.
Yeah.
they get rid of those players. They get rid of their manager. They get rid of their recruitment staff. I was watching something on DR, I think it was yesterday, and they were taking the piss out of Matisse because obviously it's fun, Chelsea.
Yeah.
And they were saying how they struggled against Brighton last weekend, and Robbie made a good point to him. He said, "Yeah, but you bought Brighton and you still couldn't beat Brighton, and it's true."
That's a very, very good point by Don.
They bought Cucurella. They bought Cucurella. They got Graham Potter. They got his staff. I think they might have even had one of their executive people. Nothing. So they'll be fine. Brighton will be. They're a really, really, really run club, a well-run club. So I think they'll be fine. Steering it to Gravenberch, this is an interesting one because obviously he was really highly rated player. Did well at Ajax. Went to Bayern Munich last season. Hasn't really been playing that much this season. We saw last summer how much Erik ten Hag, or shall I say Erik ten Hag, likes to go after his former players. Could this be another one where he goes, look at Leacher, look at Anthony. They're doing well. Maybe you come to Old Trafford too.
Yeah, I think Gravenberch was actually one of the names on our list. And then he went over to Bayern. And I think, look, no one would blame him for going to Bayern. Way more attractive prospect. They're like European giants. But hey, look, we see this a lot of the time. Players will look at other teams and think, oh, that's way more attractive. I'm going to go there. Next step of my career. They'll go. There'll be surplus to requirements there, not really used. And then when you look back at Manchester United, we've got a gaping hole in the middle of the field. That Gravenberch, the type of player he is, the profile of player he is, can definitely come in and add something to the midfield. Owen, we were speaking about, when we was at HQ the other day, we were speaking about, De Jong. I would prefer De Jong. I think you would. I think most of us Manchester United fans would. But getting that deal done seems to be still tricky. I don't think much has really changed there. He's
Frankie.
still and ahhing. I know Frankie would be perfect. But Gravenberch does have a lot of what Frankie does have. But I think Frankie's obviously better. But Gravenberch, again, because he knows the manager, there's a relationship there. He's going to want to run through rules for Erik Ten Hag. Erik Ten Hag? I can't do it.
Erik Ten Hag.
Wait, let me try the water. One sec.
Got a shot with the hope juice.
Cool. Erik Ten Hag.
It's more of a. It's you got to have more sort of. It's got to be sort of more.
Ten Hag.
It's sort of the back of the throat sort of phlegm. That's what it is. It's that back of the throat early morning. I've got to clear my throat. That's what I can always do in the morning. Erik Ten Hag.
Erik Ten Hag.
Yeah, it's a bit like that,
Nearly threw up there.
Yeah, on the show. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I think him knowing the manager, having that relationship, I think he's gonna want to prove something. Whether we get him, that's another question. I mean, look, we was talking about keeping Sabitzer for 20 million, which I think is a good steal. 20 million, you might as well do that. 20 million, you might as well. And he's had decent contribution. You get Sabitzer in. The question is, one of Fred or McTominay would have to go, because you can't keep. Well, you could, but you keep both of them. Plus, then you add in sort of a Gravenberch. Maybe not. I don't know. That's a lot of players in the midfield there. If it was me personally, I'd get rid of McTominay because you can get some decent money for him. Give him to one of the mid-table clubs, and you bring in Gravenberch and McAllister. I'll bring them both. Because there's a lot of football. We've seen the team is struggling. We're limping right now. So I think, the more players you have right now of decent quality, if you're going to be fighting on all fronts next season, the indication is that's what we're going to be doing, then you're going to need a big squad.
Scott can go, to answer your question.
Yeah.
McTominay can go.
He can go, yeah.
He can. If Newcastle want him, no problem.
How much? 30 mil? 35?
40. Good 40. Start high.
For Scott McTominay.
Yeah, they've got money. Let's not forget. We can't pretend that Newcastle don't have money. This is the thing with Newcastle. Whoa. Are they the richest team in the world? I think they are.
Yeah.
So they could. Yeah, why not? If we get taken over by Sheikh Jassim, people will be going, add an extra 10, 50. They do it anyway. Actually, forget whether we've been taken over by Qatari ownership or even if it was Sir Jim, they'd be like, oh yeah, they've got no debt, so charge them even more. Newcastle, you kidding me? Scott McTominay, you want Scott McTominay? How badly do you want him? 50 million. Go on.
Homegrown. Get down to about 40 mil. Probably 35.
Why don't we play hardball? Get it done to us all the time. Go, 50.
They'll probably walk away from the table, though, and actually not come back to the table.
You go, look, he's a homegrown player, Premier League, he counts towards your homegrown status and all that kind of stuff. Go on, get McTominay. Top 4 rival. Don't forget that as well. Top 4 rival.
Yeah,
plays a part in it.
Scott can go for me. Like Scott can go for me. Yeah.
But I mean, the Gravenberch one, that is interesting because also, like you say, we might be doing business with Bayern anyway. So the double swoop, it would be the second season in a row we've done the double swoop at one club. Last season, it was obviously Ajax, the double swoop of Martinez and Antony. This time it would be Bayern Munich, the double sweep of Sabitzer and Gravenberch, which would be, look, if you said that in terms of midfield signings, who have you signed in the summer? Oh, yeah, it was Sabitzer and Gravenberch. You go, that's all right. That's good. Yeah. That's good add into the midfield. But I still probably would prefer like Sabitzer and McAllister.
Over Gravenberch?
Yeah.
See,
my thing would be, is just Gravenberch has done the step up to Bayern.
Yeah.
Granted, he hasn't played, but you would go, it hasn't really worked out. You would say Brighton. I just feel more comfortable that McAllister is going to make that transition better.
And he's ready.
He's going to make that. Yeah, he's ready. He's done stuff on a big stage. And let's be face it, he's doing it at Brighton at the moment. And it's not like Brighton are mid-table and you go, wow, yeah, but he's the best player on their team. It's like, no, he did it at the World Cup. And Brighton, let's face it, they probably are going to be in Europe next season. What European competition remains to be seen, but probably, you would say they're probably going to be in the Europa League. And you go, he's part of that.
Yeah, I think with Gravenberch, for me, it's, his dribbling ability in the midfield. I think he's really good at that. He's got legs for days. He can literally get about the pitch. And he's got high technical quality. Like, he's a really good player. Like, he was as you said, he was really highly rated and highly touted before he went to Bayern. And again, under the manager that he knows. So that's the thing there. Under the manager that he knows, we've seen Lisandro Martinez come to here and absolutely his technical proficiency as a defender is skyrocketed. Like, it's up there. So if he can make it, obviously everyone's different, but if he can make it, I'm pretty sure Gravenberch can. And then he's going to have that Ajax sort of nucleus where you've got Anthony there and you've got, Lisandro there and then Ten Hag there, Donny there, Eriksen's played there as well. So he's going to have people around him that he knows that know him. And I think he can bed in quite quickly. But hey, look, if either one of them come Owen, it's going to make us better anyway. So I don't mind.
That's true. Yeah. Speaking of people possibly being sold in the summer, would you sell Donny?
Yes. I'd sell him. Yes. 100% I'd sell him.
You're a big Donny fan. You've been a Donny defender.
I am. Look, everyone asks
Donny defending DJ.
Yeah, everyone says, what does DJ stand for? It might stand for Donny, guys. D might actually stand for Donny. It might.
What does the J stand for then?
Junior. I'm joking. I think he's got a Donny Junior, actually. I don't know. But yeah, I'd sell him. Look, it'd be a hard sell because he hasn't played. And the injury. So there is a world where I can see him staying just because he hasn't played football. And how do you sell a player that hasn't played a lick of football at the moment and is injured?
Yeah.
That's a very hard sell. So he might be given sort of a rebirth at least till maybe January or something. I don't know. Maybe that. Because he does need to leave, though. He does need to leave or go out and loan. Yeah,
it depends, like you say, on the injury, because I'd be surprised if sort of, say he's back in time for the summer, that United sort of nurse into health and just go, all right, see you later, mate, you're gone now. You know what I mean? I can't imagine that would happen. Unless we want to dip back into sort of the Ajax pool once again. And I know we did this a lot last summer, and the Ajax fans, speaking to the We Talk Ajax guys, they were very frustrated about this. They go, why do you keep offering us your shit players? We kept going, oh yeah, we'll get Anthony, and why don't we just give him whoever? And they were like, we don't want your players. Like, we don't want your players. So why do you keep offering them? But Donny's different to that, because you do feel like if you offered them Donny as part of something, they might be like, well, actually, that's a bit different. And then there's been talk of like Kudus and stuff like that. So maybe he could be part of all that kind of stuff. But I don't think Donny will go. But I mean, I've had my say on Donny several times here on the channel. Someone perceived it as an agenda. It's not an agenda. I've used my eyes. Okay. Yeah. Someone said this the other day, and I wish I could give him credit for it. But Sabitzer is what we thought we were getting in Donny. Yes, I'd agree. And the thing I think that sets Sabitzer apart from Donny is the aggression, and that he can play multi-roles. He's very multifaceted. So you could put Sabitzer in the 8 and not really worry too much. Haven't seen him as a 6 really, but I've heard he can play 6. I heard he can play 10. He's played on the wing. So he's played a lot of positions. And I think with Sabitzer, you get a little bit more from him. He imposes himself a little bit more than Donny does. I think Donny, for me, too many times has been a passenger. Yeah, he's very silky, he's very technical, one-touch passing, which I really love about the player. But in terms of fitting in, and look, guys, it's about fitting into this team and how we're playing. Donny just seems like an outcast to me. He does. When you see him on the pitch, he does seem like an outcast, like he's struggling to fit in. He's struggling to... It's like he doesn't know anybody there. That's how it feels like. It feels like he doesn't know anybody. Yeah, shy, timid. And at this moment in time, we need characters. Like Ten Hag always speaks about it. He wants characters and leaders in his team. He wants a bit of shithousery. He wants people that are going to be vocal. And you can see that's what he's building. So in terms of and then speaking of the midfield, actually, do we go in for another number 10? Someone to take the load off Bruno? Because if you're going to get rid... If, let's say, we do use Donny as a make weight in some form of business, do you then go? Well, you would say so, because this season, when people have said who's the backup number 10, they went, oh, it's Donny. And you go, well, no disrespect, but then that's not really good enough, is it? Because, it's just, again, it hasn't worked out. Donny has played, twice this season. He played as the 10. I think once was against Villa away when Bruno couldn't play. And we lost that game, not because of Donny, but you just sort of go, that creativity, it's just, he just doesn't. My biggest frustration is with him, and when I've watched him play, he just doesn't influence the game sometimes. You just sort of go, Donny's playing, and you go, oh, is he? And then, you don't really touch the ball that much. And then I've heard the arguments. We have had this argument a million times on all of the streams over the years, going, Yeah, but it's about he's making runs. I've heard that. Yeah, he's making runs. And you go, yeah, but eventually it's not enough. Eventually you can make good runs, but then you go like Bruno. Bruno makes runs, but then eventually if he's not getting the ball, he goes, give me the ball. I'm going to go get the ball and I'm going to do something with it. And like you said, Donny, that's just not the case. So maybe that's where McAllister can come in. He can, push up a little bit into the 10, maybe something like that. I'm not sure. Couple of chats here. Mina, a big at Queen Mean, says Donny is not good enough. He was the most average and big capitalization on the average player in the Ajax 2019 team. Lil Yo says, Owen, you do have a Van de Gender. I refuse to comment on the matter. It's a disgrace. It's a cheat. Daniela says, Donny needs a loan. And that might be something certainly that he does if he gets back, because just from the recovery of the injury as well. So there you go. Be sure to smash a like on the like button as well, guys. We've got over 550 people watching, less than 100 likes.
Oh my gosh, disgraceful cheats.
Less than 100. I mean, do I even have the? Wow. I refuse to continue doing the show until we get to 100. Like, I'm going on strike. There's a writer's strike in America, DJ. I don't know if you've seen this. Writers Guild of America. They're refusing to do any writing after the end of the month. So no shows, no films, no stream. I've gone full Jurgen Fleck. This is your show. This is your show. That's it. It's gone up to 100
guys.
now.
Get those
it's gone up to 100.
Up.
You can have KG with hair. There's your reward.
Wow. Wow.
Wow. What else are we going to talk about? Oh, yes. Alejandro Garnacho. He posted a picture yesterday, DJ. He's back in the boots, back with the boots, the pink boots he was wearing as well.
Yeah.
So let's think about this, because we were talking, I think you were there the other day when we were chatting about Jadon Sancho, weren't we?
Yes.
And we were talking about, we were having a conversation about Sancho after the Forest game. And we were saying, how do you think Sancho did? And I was like, I don't know, DJ. I don't know. And I said at the time, the only reason my feeling is that Sancho is playing now is because there's injuries. Obviously, even if Rashford was injured now, but Garnacho was available, I don't think Sancho would be getting games. So what are your thoughts? When Garnacho comes back, does Sancho have to be a bit worried about his position?
He needs to be very, very afraid. Honestly, he needs to be very, very afraid. And I think with Garnacho coming back now, it is going to be very telling if, say, Garnacho goes... I don't think he'll go straight back in, because I think Ten Hag's going to be fair. But the minute Sancho slips or he doesn't perform to the standard we need him to, Garnacho will come in as a sub in about the 60th minute, 70th minute for Sancho. Very, very telling. It's the productivity. Like against Forest, he did some nice touches. He wasn't awful, not at all. He was okay, but just okay. There's no threat. He's not threatening enough. Honestly, Owen, I love the player. Like, I think he's a great player, but there's just no threat. There's no danger. When Bruno gets on the ball and he's in that, half space, you expect something to happen. Do you know what I mean? In the middle of the park, when Casemiro's got the ball, you expect something to happen. Even with Anthony, for even some of his limitations, when he's on the right, he looks dangerous. You expect something to happen. Sancho, I cannot say this. I can't say the same. When rival players come up against Sancho, as long as you're physical, as long as that player's got a bit of pace and physical with him, you negate some of his game. You negate a lot of his game. So for me, with Garnacho, a lot of the teams, when they come up against him, they're scared, because they're like, we can't let him get in behind. He's young, can't let him get in behind. The minute they do that, raw pace, he's into the spaces, he's attacking the spaces, and United are up the pitch. Sancho just doesn't offer you that same threat. So to me, Jadon Sancho, like literally from now until Garnacho does start making appearances again, he really needs to be putting some output out there. Get a couple of goals, get some more assists, do something that's going to keep Ten Hag interested, because the reality is Garnacho is going to be waiting in the wings now.
One of our members, John James, says, Garnacho won't be playing a full 90 for a while. Sancho is safe. He'll get better. The only issue is with that, John James, is that Marcus Rashford will be, you would think, very soon. I mean, I would even think there's an argument that not that Rashford will play a full 90 on Thursday, but he could very well be back for that Sevilla game. I would expect him to be back for the game against Brighton on Sunday. And I think you're right, DJ. It's a case of productivity, isn't it? Or even really work rate sometimes. I mean, you point out Anthony, and I think he had his best game in the United shirt against Forest, so it's almost difficult to compare. But even in games where maybe Anthony isn't having his best game, he's lively. He's lively. He's on the ball. He's trying. He's trying something. You know what I mean? He's trying. He might be doing the cut inside every time, or he might be trying stupid flicks. But you go, he's on the ball. He's doing something. He's working his way back and helping out his fullback. And sometimes with Sancho, it is just a case of maybe a bit like the Donny thing, where there have been games where it gets like 60, 65 minutes, and you go, Sancho's on the pitch. You go, oh, is he? Because I haven't really seen much. You know?
I need him to be a bit more selfish, Owen. Be a bit more aggressive. Like I think against the Forest, there was a chance where he was on like the right hand side channel and he was in front of goal and he could have shot and he went to go and pass it. Like, come on, man. We need to see that aggression, man. We need a bit of shithousery. Like, just come on. Like, it's like man up a bit. I just want to grab him and just shake him. Like, man up. Come on, man. Because we know you're a better player than this. You know. So
yeah. You want him to be a bit of a bastard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also have a bit of almost arrogance. You know what I mean? When you're a United player, you need to have that bit of confidence, bit of swagger. And this is what's funny with this is that Garnacho has that, and people have criticised him for that. He's too arrogant. He's got too much about him. He believes himself. But Ten Hag said it in the press conference. I forget when it was, but it was one of those games where I think Garnacho started, and he missed a couple of chances in the first half, and he was taken off. And then, for whatever reason, I guess because it's social media, they decided to criticise him and say, "Oh, too big for his boots, rah, rah. And then he got asked about it in the press conference, Ten Hag, and he said, no, I like it that he's getting through into those positions. He was like, this guy's a teenager, and he's got the confidence to be taking people on, being one-on-one. I don't want to change his personality. I want him to be disappointed when he's taken off. I want him to show that aggression and take that out on the pitch. And maybe with Sancho, that's kind of the opposite. You know, you don't really see that, like you said, aggressiveness or just like...
Yeah, do you know what I see?
You can't really define it, can you? You have to make that sort of
like meh, that kind of thing. Like for me, like Sancho looks like a guy that is playing with, I wouldn't say a lot of pressure, but it's like he's just still. It's like he's not expressing himself fully. He's holding back, and I feel like he's scared to make a mistake. And if he makes a mistake, obviously, he feels like maybe he'll just be surplus to requirements or get taken off or whatever. But he just seems very... We need Sancho unchained. We need him let loose. We need him to just be free. And I think... and I can see Ten Hag trying to accommodate him because there's been many times now where Sancho's played in a free role as well to go and get involved with the play, go look for the ball, you know, wander over to the right-hand side with Anthony, one touch, try and, you know, get something going. But it just doesn't seem at this moment... It could change, but at this moment that it's working, and it's very similar to the Donny situation where talented footballer, you know their attributes, you put them into this United team that is a bit more direct, but they're still not being able to have some of their best form. So I guess we'll still wait and see. I'll still keep him around in a sense of, you know, you want squad depth. When he comes on, the quality isn't going to go down that much, is it? So you keep him around for the left wing for now anyway. And then we'll see what happens next season, I guess.
Yeah, you do get the impression, obviously, look, he came back from that stuff over the winter, and you do get the impression that he's still fragile is the best word, and you know, the confidence is certainly fragile. But I don't see, I mean, this is going to be really his best run of games because everyone in his position is out with an injury. But once they come back, you're sort of like, well, I don't see where you're going to start then. Because, you know, because even on the right-hand side at the moment, Anthony, he's not going anywhere. Like, he's not dropping out the team. And then people say, well, you know, Sancho may be in a 10. I mean, I was saying Thursday, I think there's possibly potential that maybe Sancho could play in a 10 on Thursday because of the people we've got missing, i.e. Bruno.
True, yeah.
Who even plays as a 10. Because if you're saying Rashford might be back, do you start Rashford? Then you have Sancho in the 10.
He's going to start Weghorst. I can see it. He's going to start Weghorst.
What, in the 10?
Yeah. I can see it. And then you keep it depends on Sabitzer, actually. Because if Sabitzer's back, you can maybe push Eriksen up there or push Sabitzer into the 10, which I prefer. But, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Super chat from Sashev said Sancho needs to play at 10, not at left wing, like we were just saying. Could play there on Thursday. Nathan says Sancho has never been a kick and run, pace and power player. He beats people in tight spaces, not for pace. He will never be the winger people are asking for. He plays better with runners around him, which is true. I think Sancho has been, from the moment we signed him, he's been somewhat miscast. hasn't he?
Yeah.
From what maybe we thought we were getting, or the player that was going to fit into our system. And look, maybe we have short memories. Against Everton, he did get an assist. And that kind of assist was a situation where it was like, tight space, finds McTominay, McTominay scores. So maybe that's the kind of winger. And I mean, hypothetically, in the future, that can work for Ten Hag as we get to a much more dominating possession-based team. Maybe that can work. Maybe it's just a case of, okay, then for now, he just kind of has to suffer a little bit until we get to the style of play that Ten Hag wants. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. He costs a lot of money, and he is a good player. So I think, the key word I like to use, and I know KG uses it as well, is tactical solutions. Like, we'll have to find a solution for him. There's going to be a lot of football played next year as well. Still a lot of football to be played this season. So there's going to be time and space for him. Just depends where. I think that's the question. Where does he fit in?
Yeah. Poll in the chat. It's been up for about 20 minutes or so. Nearly 300 votes. Votes, not volts. Votes. It's early.
It's very electrifying.
Yeah, volts. Come on. This is the chemistry. Got a good spark going. Gravenberch.
Hey.
Gravenberch or McAllister, and it's pretty tight, DJ. Gravenberch's got 47% of the vote. McAllister just shading it with 53%, but certainly the UV community a bit split on who they would prefer in midfield. Get your votes in there as well. It is very close. Let's get on to Lisandro Martinez. Of course, we know he's out for the remainder of the season. He has undergone surgery. He posted out several posts on social media last night saying, everything went well, thanks to God. Many thanks for all your messages. Now focusing on the recovery, with a picture of 2 thumbs up from his hospital bed. And actually just reflecting on this, because not even this time last week, like 5 days ago, there was a lot of doom and gloom surrounding Lisandro Martinez, thinking that, Achilles, DJ's going to be out for like 14 months, 12 months. Yeah. And our summer plans for an hour or so kind of really started to change. We were like, we're going to have to get a new defender. We're going to have to get a defender in the summer. We're going to have to figure this out. Now it's a case of, I know, he'll be back for preseason. He'll be back for tour. It's not a problem. But it does lead us on to sort of the centre-back discussion, and I guess it's maybe skipping ahead a little bit. We would assume that Thursday, once again, it's going to be Maguire and Lindelof. But Sunday at Wembley, of course, there is no Harry Maguire because of the suspension. So given you've got Varane out, Martinez out, Maguire out, Luke Shaw's, we don't know. We'll see if he's in the squad Thursday. Who's the centre-back pairing going to be against Brighton?
Oh, man, he might have to bring... If Ten Hag's not going to bring one of the youngsters through that I see in the training footage all the time, like Mengi and all those guys, they're training with the first team all the time. If he's not going to bring one of those through, then you just have to put maybe McTominay right centre back, or you're going to have to, or you just change the formation totally, just play 3 at the back, or maybe that's.
What about Casemiro? Can you put Casemiro at the back? Because remember, I was having an argument with Flex about this, saying that. I remember just after Christmas, it might have been even before Christmas, but one of the first games back after the World Cup, Casemiro played centre-back. It was at Old Trafford. It was against Burnley, but he was brilliant at centre-back. Really, really good. And he was obviously winning the ball, but he was passing out from the back. We looked fantastic. Obviously, it's Burnley, so it's not a real reflection of what actually it could be. And also, you then have the problem of, if you take Casemiro out midfield, you put him at the back.
You do miss a lot of what he does best. And again, I think it also depends on who's available in the midfield. Again, you know what? Sabitzer is a key element, because if he's back, then you could potentially put Casemiro further back. Yeah. Sabitzer in where Casemiro's playing, Eriksen, and then
Bruno.
Whoever else. Yeah, Bruno. Yeah. You could probably get away. You could get away with that. Tough game, but you get away with it. But I don't know, man. And I think this is why, it's always good to maybe start, because we haven't done it in a while. We haven't actually played some of our youth, our centre-backs in the youth.
You can't do that in this semi-final.
Yeah. Not this game. Not at all. Not at all. But I think Ten Hag's going to have to learn a bit of a lesson here. At least blood one of them slowly through the season, whether it's 20 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. But just blood one through, because when crisis hits, look at us now. We're literally down to the bare bones, and it's a semi-final. It's crazy.
What are you more comfortable with? What are you more comfortable with, Luke Shaw and Lindelof, or Casemiro and Lindelof?
Luke Shaw and Lindelof. Dalot left back. Casemiro in the midfield where he should be. We can get away with that, I think. I think we can get away with that.
Thing is, though, you say, like, I think you're onto something with the Sabitzer thing, because if Sabitzer was fit, I'd almost be more comfortable with Casemiro and Lindelof.
Yeah. You know what it is? For me, it's the running in behind. I'm thinking about that. With Shaw, you know he's going to cover ground. He'll cover ground really quickly.
Yeah. And you got Danny Welbeck up front for them, you know.
He's going to be physical. He's going to be quite quick. You know, Casemiro's got the experience, though. So, again, and Casemiro positioning is very good. Very good. So, sometimes he doesn't have to... He'll know where to be positionally before the fire even starts. He'll pull it out quickly. So, I personally would pick Shaw and Lindelof just off the fact that I want Casemiro in the midfield because that's where the game could be won and lost.
Well, maybe I'll put it to you this way. Okay, let me change the equation a little bit.
Yeah.
So, okay, we're saying Shaw and Lindelof because they're actual defenders, and Shaw's played at centre back this season in big games. But what if I'm saying to you, DJ, the problem is Luke Shaw's only 70% fit. Then what's your preferred pairing? A 70% Shaw and Lindelof or a fully fit Casemiro and Lindelof?
I'd go for 70%. I would. And then change it. If you need to take him off and whatever, then you can change it around afterwards. That's what I would do. Only because, again, he's left-footed and in that left... And he can pass the ball. Shaw's okay with passing the ball like through the lines. He's all right with it. And he can travel and he can carry it if he needs to. So based off that skill set, I think it's going to be very, very important in the semi-final. I think we're going to need that. With Casemiro, he can pass the ball, but then, you know, it's the running in behind. It's all of that in case we get caught up the pitch and stuff like that. And you know, Shaw can cover the ground. So just for that, even if he's 70% fit, I think it's a big game. I think he can muster enough. He's got enough experience by now to muster up enough strength, enough, you know, determination to play in that game, even if he isn't feeling 100%. He's been around a long time.
Yeah, I think I would hope. I hope it is Shaw, Lindelof. Like you said, I thought Dalot did really well at left back, actually.
Very well. Did very well.
Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka's starting right back now. I don't care what anyone says. He's... Like the comeback has been sensational from Aaron Wan-Bissaka. It's been crazy. Even if he is blocking shots and missing open goals, okay, he's been playing. He's been playing very well. And then I would think, like you said, midfield, Casemiro. I mean, if you've got Casemiro, Eriksen, Bruno starting in the midfield, they haven't lost.
They haven't lost. Yeah, they haven't lost. And you see, like, that's the best our midfield's probably been for a long time. That trio is. And hey, guys, arguably that trio is better. It's a functioning trio, better than Matic, Herrera, and Pogba that we had. Guys, it's up for debate. But for me, this trio is a much more functioning, better midfield than that trio. Because that's the last time our midfield was really balanced. After that, didn't really have a lot of balance in the teams.
Yeah, and even that wasn't even for that long. That was for, you know, after that, then it started changing a lot. Red Brown with the super chat says, nervous Cam is giving our tactics away to rivals. Sky Sports / BT Sport don't this good of a job with analytics. Well, if you haven't watched it, this week's Tactical View is out right now. It was out yesterday. Flex and Cam broke down United's 2-0 victory over Nottingham Forest, talking about all things tactics, talking about rest defense, minimum width, all those kind of things. So be sure to check that out. Indeed, it's a very, 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 very good watch. There's clips, DJ. There's annotations. There's drawings. There's heat maps. Oh, my goodness me. The levels continue to get raised, and raised. It's an excellent show for the football purists. If you haven't already, be sure to check that out as well. I do want to also talk about Ahmad, but this is slightly off Manchester United news, but I guess it kind of feeds into the wider takeover news as well. Is that, I don't know if you've seen this morning, DJ, that Manchester City have announced a planning application has been submitted for an entertainment destination at the Etihad Stadium. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means that Manchester City have extensive plans for a stadium redevelopment, which will take their capacity to over 60,000. Also, stadium roof walk experience following Spurs' lead. This will cost them around £300 million, will take 3 years. Now, Simon Stone from the BBC points out, obviously it's not exactly the same, but Man City's plans have been submitted with a 3-year building timescale. They will host games at Euro 2028 if England get the tournament, but Man United couldn't give guarantees their redevelopment work at Old Trafford, which is still to be decided, even if it's even going to be done. So whilst all of this takeover stuff is ongoing, and this was my point before, and I said this is the challenge that any new owner has to do when they come in at United. It's not just a case of, oh yeah, we're going to build a new stadium or we're going to fix the stadium. City, they're actively doing work. They're still doing work. I mean, why they would increase their stadium to 60,000, I don't know, because let's be honest, I know it's like a cliche, but genuinely, they struggle to fill it up at the best of times. But still, they're doing stuff over there. So we need to get this takeover thing sorted. We need to get plans in place. This whole stadium redevelopment thing, I don't even know if I believe it anymore, to be honest. We're asking contractors. They're having a look around. Oh, what do we do? Do we knock it down? I don't know. Maybe we just fill some gaps in, DJ. Maybe we just paint it. Maybe we just paint down the outside. Maybe we just hang a load of air fresheners around it like a new car. We just put a load of pine tree things hanging around it. Maybe we just do that and it'll look better. Oh. I see stuff like this and I go,
do you know what? I drove past City's ground a couple of weeks ago because I was in Manchester and I literally looked and I was like, yeah, this actually looks really good. Like, it looks good. It does look good. I can't lie. It does look good. And I just thought, do you know what? Again, it's just typical Manchester United under the Glazers regime, dragging our heels, taking 100 years to do something, to make these decisions that need to be made. You know, they're putting us fans through the ringer right now. They're putting out the propaganda. Just please leave the club. Not even respectfully, disrespectfully, please leave the club. Just go. Get someone in. At this point, Sir Jim, Qatari, whoever that's going to be mean good for the club, mean well. And then we can start putting these plans in place because right now we're left kind of in limbo. We don't know what's happening. And they're not stupid. They're aware there needs to be a timeline where Ten Hag can get the most out of the transfer window and we can go forward and build the club up because they've done a lot of damage. So there's going to be a lot of building to do in and around the ground with the team, infrastructure, all of these things. And they're dragging their heels, Owen. And it's so painful. We have no power in this. We've got no say. There's no power. We're powerless. We're just watching watching them drag their heels. Third round of bidding. Oh, hearing this now about City has just annoyed me because it's just we are the premier team in England, and we need to start acting like it. We are, and we need to start acting like it.
Was thinking about the bit when they said they're going to have a roof walking experience like they do at Spurs, and then I was thinking, when was the last time actually anyone probably even went up on the Old Trafford roof? It's probably been years.
You probably fall through.
Apparently they can't. They can't. There's holes in it. They go, literally. Mind that bit, you'll fall through because rain's falling around.
Through. Yeah, like if rain's falling,
like human feet.
Yeah, like we don't want a catastrophe at Old Trafford. Come on. So yeah, I don't know.
Well,
yeah.
We'll move on to something positive though. Ahmad. Yeah. So Ahmad. A bit of news when it comes to him. Manchester United manager Erik ten Hag is reportedly open to including Ahmad in the Manchester United squad next season as he approaches the end of his loan with Sunderland. The 20-year-old winger scored his 12th championship goal of the season in the 2-1 victory against Birmingham on Saturday as Sunderland pushed for the playoffs. Ten Hag and United staff are pleased with the Ivory Coast international's development, having suggested that he required a run of 10 starts to showcase his qualities. Indeed, he did, and indeed he has. Could Ahmad be part of United's plans next season? Could you see maybe the right wing options being Anthony and Ahmad?
Yes, and I hope it is, to be fair. I've been so impressed with his contributions this season. Again, he was a talented player. You're thinking, can he kick on and do something meaningful? He definitely has. He's kind of like their star boy over there. He's our star boy, but he's like their star boy over there. He's the go-to man for something creative to happen on the pitch. I've really kind of liked that. Physically, he doesn't seem to be outmatched at all. He seems to be coping really well. And again, if we're looking at profiles of players, Ten Hag really does like his right wings to have a left foot. And Ahmad has got that. So he has got a bit of that. He's got a bit of that Anthony-esque where he can cut in and do the whole left foot thing because he scored a couple of goals. He can drift centrally as well and link with the striker. but you can also go on the outside as well. Seen him using his right foot quite a lot now as well. So, hey, look, it's going to make us stronger. You bring him in as the understudy on the right wing. Loads of games. There's been plenty of games this season where Anthony hasn't really pulled up trees and he needs to be subbed. So you have a ready-made replacement, a number 2 in that position. So I definitely bring him back. I think Ten Hag would be silly not to bring him back.
Yeah, I think Ahmad's a really interesting one because obviously Mina does the Loan View, which is an excellent show. Be sure to check that out when it comes to all of our loanees. And really, it's been difficult because it's essentially the Ahmad show because he's just doing unbelievable at Sunderland. I watched the game, I think it was during the bank holiday weekend where Sunderland drew with Hull and it was like 4-4 and it was an unbelievable game.
Yeah.
And Ahmad was basically involved. If he didn't score, I think he scored 2 that day. But if he didn't score it, he was involved in it directly.
Yeah.
And he absolutely is flourishing, no doubt about it. And people forget the circumstances that we purchased Ahmad because that transfer window was nuts. Because that was the transfer window where we thought we were getting Sancho and we ended up with Ahmad and Facundo at like the last day. Everyone went, who are these people?
Yeah.
They must be good. We've never heard of them before. And with Ahmad as well, I think maybe he had played 1 or 2 senior games. All of his football was under 20. I mean, I think he maybe played in like the Champions League or something once for Atalanta, but like it's genuine first team football. So he was coming to United, barely playing at senior games at all. So he needed this. He needed a run of senior football, and he's proving himself certainly in the Championship. The issue is that it's not the Premier League, it's the Championship. So the case of whether he's ready to make the step up, because it's one thing to go from the Championship to the Premier League, it's another thing to go from the Championship to Manchester United. That's a completely different jump. But then we have seen it in the past. I think of like the sort of Dan James, where he was at Swansea and they were in the Championship, came to United, did okay. And I would argue that Ahmad's much better than Dan James.
Of course,
and has much more potential than him. So I think there certainly could be something to look at. I would get the impression he maybe gets a preseason. I think he gets a preseason to prove himself. I think Ten Hag and his team have a look at him. Clearly, they'll be having people that have been watching him throughout the entirety of this season. And I think he can be an option. I really do. And we were talking about, Sancho earlier on and being, how direct is he? What's his work rate like? Ahmad, he can be very direct, and his work rate, he can be electric as well. He can be quick. So I think he could be an option. I do, but at the same time, I wouldn't be stunned if in the summer we hear, he's going on loan again to a Premier League club. Let's say Sunderland do make the playoffs, which I think is quite unlikely now. They were saying that after the draw, check the Championship table. But let's say there's a Premier League club next season that won him on loan. I wouldn't be against that as well. Honestly,
do you think that it also depends on kind of what's happening with Palestri and number 11 as well?
I was just about to say with Palestri, because the feeling is, isn't there, that he might actually go out on loan next season again.
Yeah, I think he needs loan,
Yeah, and I think he probably needs it. But to where, I don't know, because realistically, his last couple of loan spells haven't been entirely successful, really.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this season, when he's played for, when he's come on for United, he's done all right. He's done well. He's done well, and we're talking about someone that's offers something different, and particularly, I think in those wide areas, if you've got an Anthony, who again is doing well and he's improving, but he's a different kind of winger to a Palestri or an Ahmad. He's much more sort of technical, and I think you do need variety in that position. You do need different types of players. But I think you're right. I think I could see maybe a scenario where Palestri goes out on loan and Ahmad comes back in. But at the same time, is it good for Ahmad if he comes back and then he spends most of the season on the bench? Probably not. That's probably not the best thing for him.
Yeah, I know. But again, I think having a squad in depth, Garnacho is really good. He scored he's scored a few goals this season, and he's coming off the bench in a lot of. But if we're trying to push Ahmad to the next step, he's eventually going to have to come into a team where he's going to be not the best player in his position. And I think what Anthony is showing is Anthony's still young. So Anthony's only a few years, maybe like 2 or 3 years older than Ahmad. You've got Anthony there that isn't necessarily, some games he's not really pulling up trees. And then when he comes off, the quality drops dramatically. Like there's no one to go over there really. So if you bring Ahmad in to be the understudy, to be the number 2, you put Palestri out on loan. Ahmad, for me, is a bit further in his development than Palestri, clearly. I think you can see that. Even though Palestri has been in the Premier League and played okay, I still think Ahmad's further along in terms of, his string of games. He's used to the fit because Championship's physical. So I think that's where the Championship and the Premier League do align with the physicality. So Ahmad's not going to be a stranger to the knocks and the tackles. And I think just because of his profile, he's left-footed. You're going to want to maybe keep him as the understudy, but we'll see. There's a lot of options for him.
Well, let's say, and the live chat can do this as well, because I'm interested to know you guys' opinion on this. If you were to rank the backup right-wing options, so you've got Ahmad, Facundo, and let's put in Alanga in there as well.
Oh
they're the three. They're the three. Rank them 1 to 3. You can do this in the chat as well.
Alanga is definitely number 3. He's definitely number 3. He has to be.
Well, actually, we can do them. Actually, we can play it differently. We can make it even more fun. We can play keep, loan, sell. Those 3. And it is Alanga, Palestri, Ahmad. Keep, loan, sell. What are you doing, DJ?
Keeping Ahmad, loaning Palestri, and I'm selling Alanga. I can see Alanga at Palace or something like that. I can see him over there. Yeah, I can see him because they got a lot of pacey players in it. Like, I can see him over there. He's got tons of, you know what? With the correct development, he could have actually been something because he was okay, but he just hasn't developed in like a year.
No, he's the same. And the thing is with Alanga, I wouldn't even say it's necessarily he's got worse. I would argue that he's exactly the same as he was a year ago.
Yeah.
It's just United have got better.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Alanga's breakthrough season, unfortunately, happened to be in Manchester United's worst season ever when everyone was terrible. So just by proxy, he looked good because the backdrop was terrible. But in reality, when everyone raised their levels, you go, actually, maybe it's not. Maybe he's not all that,
Yeah.
And I would agree with that ranking. I would say that I would keep Ahmad, I'd loan Facundo, and I'd sell Alanga. How much do we even get for Anthony Alanga?
5 million. Yeah, 5 million. He's not going for 10. No way a team's going to pay 10
well,
million.
Alanga. We
8 million.
Can't get a light 15.
Oh my God. If we got 15,
this is 2023. This is 2023. Inflation settings.
Right. When we got Dan James, how much did we get Dan James for? About 15 million or something. It was something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
15 million, right? So Dan James, 15 million. Dan James had played way more football than Ahmad, and he had a successful season with Leeds. So for me,
we sold Dan James for £25 million.
Wow. Maybe like 15, 10, if you can.
What I'm saying. This is what I'm saying.
20, start 20, they'll be like, fuck off. Like, all right, cool. 18,
that's what I'm saying.
Fuck off.
You can get 15 for Anthony Alanga. You can get 20 for Anthony Alanga.
You think?
You can. DJ, you're living in 1999. You're living in 1999. I don't know. Premier League. We live in a reality where Dan James went for 25 million.
That is crazy. That is actually crazy.
And that was 2 years ago. That was 2 years ago. Inflation since then, DJ. Wow. Nowadays, it'd go for 30.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, cool. I'm sold on it. You sold me on it, Owen. Maybe they should get you in charge of, the negotiations.
Well, I was director of football and Flex and KG's FIFA, and I did a very bad transfer initially. I signed someone for, how much did I sign him for? My initial offer, I said we should go for 70. Apparently, he was worth 17. So, But he's been playing well. He's been playing well. And I say you can't put a price on success and you can't put a price on goals, even though in that situation, we did manage to get it there. I was overruled by the managers in that situation. In fairness, Flay-G, they got me. Flay-G, they got me down on that one. I think we ended up spending about 40. Yeah, 45. It was a Demi from Dortmund. Initially, is that their fault? Because look, I came into the role very late in the transfer window. And if I was in there early, I'd be saying, we've got to do some scouting. We've got to look at these players. It was deadline day. We didn't have any scouts or anything like that. So we didn't know how much it was going to cost. And also, our budget, when our budget is like 800 million or whatever, who cares? I'm going to spend 70.
That's true.
Spend 70. It's ridiculous.
True, I guess.
People were calling me Owen Bowley, and to be fair, I was doing what Todd was doing as well. I mean, Todd shouting at the Chelsea players before the Real Madrid game and whatever. I was kind of doing the same thing with the manager during the game, to Flay-G. I was saying, you got to sort it out. You're better than this, all of you. So, No FIFA this week, but we'll be coming back next week, and Director of Football will be there, overseeing things as always, because they need to be kept in line. But there you go, guys. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. A couple of super chats before we wrap things up. Red Baron says Cam's passion when talking about tactics as well. Certainly, indeed. Very, very passionate. Sashif says KG should be the new owner of Manchester United. How would have frozen over at that point? I don't know where he would have found that kind of finances, although I do believe there are a couple of videos on his channel of people that he may know that may have purchased Manchester United. Wink, wink. So you can check that out. And Red Baron says DJ still thinks we use shillings. They're saying you're living in the past.
Shillings, wow.
Shillings.
Wow, that's deep, man. That's deep.
Yeah, exactly. DJ thinks it's 2003. DJ thinks we're selling Anthony Elanga for £5 million. It's a disgrace. Disgrace. Cheats. So there you go, guys. Be sure to smash the like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Flex and KG show coming at 6 p.m. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. Of course, Wednesday, we've got previews, pressers, all that fun stuff. Flex and Josh are probably on their way to Spain as we speak at the moment. So there's going to be plenty of content ahead of the big game on Thursday. And of course, Thursday, it's match day, match view settings, fan view settings, all that fun stuff. We're out of here. Have a great Tuesday and we'll speak to you again soon. Peace.